Hello everyone. So welcome to what I hope will be a short video on Q's and A's on my e-assist. The questions come from both comments and emails that I got after making the fitting video that I posted up a couple of weeks ago. So if I don't answer your question, or if you've got any other questions that you'd like to ask me, please ask away, and either in the comments below or in an upcoming video I'll do my best to answer them for you. But for today, as I say, I'm just going to answer the questions that I've had via email and in the comments from the fitting video. So first the intro, and then I'll be back. So, strange times indeed, eh? Before we get to those Q's and A's, I just wanted to clarify a couple of points. Previously on the comments, I'd mentioned that I was going to be doing a big tour this spring. Obviously now that's not happening. I've had to put all those plans on hold. But, touch wood, a bit later in the year, all things being well, we'll get to it. It's not going anywhere. So, and to Stefan and Suzanne, I noticed this week that Spetsy has been called off, or at least postponed until August. So to be honest, I can't see it going ahead in August either. But if Spetsy does go ahead this year, then I shall be there. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, Spetsy is a special bike show that's held in Germany yearly. This year was going to be their 25th anniversary. And obviously it's been postponed. But as I say, all things being well, I shall be there later in the year. And if anybody would like to come along there and have a go on all those special bikes and bump into me and say hello, that would be nice. Anyway, shall we get on with those Q's and A's? So one of the questions I get asked the most is about battery duration. How far can I go on a single charge? Well, I've now got two of these bottle-shaped batteries from Unit Pack Power. I'll put a link to where I got them from on AliExpress down in the description below. Recently I've taken them on two rides, each of which was at the extreme of what I would expect to put these batteries through. The first one was on flat ground like I am today, just endlessly flat along the side of the canal and around the Olympic Park. I did 23 miles that day with the e-assist on the lowest of levels. It's called Eco. I'll show you the controller in a little while. But so on Eco I did 23 miles, and when I got home the battery power indicator on the controller still showed full. Yeah, I know obviously the battery wasn't full, but I hadn't used enough power out of that battery to knock it down one notch. So I hear you all screaming, but Tim, how can that be? You go out for a 23-mile ride, the assist on Eco for the whole time. Yes, it was on the whole time. And I still came home with full bars on the battery. Well, as I've mentioned before, on an unloaded trike on the level, my steady state speed is somewhere between 15 and maybe 18, 19 miles an hour. Well, the motor cuts out at 15 miles an hour, 25 kilometers an hour. So obviously for, I don't know, more than half at least of that 23 miles I wasn't using the e-assist at all, and when I was obviously only using it a tiny little bit. So on a flat day with an unloaded trike, a battery is going to last me endlessly. I will go all day on a single battery. And then we have the ride on the opposite end of that spectrum. A couple of weeks ago I went out and did a county ride and took a fully loaded trike. This was obviously before the UK went on lockdown. On that point, by the way, I'm not breaking the rules. Even though the UK is on sort of semi-lockdown, we are allowed out to exercise once a day. So this is my exercise. But anyhow, before that sort of semi-lockdown happened, I went out and did a county ride. And I took a fully loaded trike on a ride. You'll see that, I've made a video of it, it's coming up. But it was a hell of a day. As well as hills and going off-road. We've had a lot of wet weather in the UK over the winter, and a good deal of my route was on bridle paths, and well, you'll see when it comes up anyhow, but it was a tough day, and at the end of it I was exhausted, and I used both of my unit pack power batteries that day fully. The second one ran out just as I got to the end of the day. I had been on turbo quite a lot throughout the afternoon because, as I say, I was exhausted. It was not the nicest of rides I've been on, I have to say. But that ride distance was upper 40s in the miles. I think it was, if memory serves me right, it's 47 or 49 miles, something like that. And both batteries were drained. So on a fully loaded trike, in bad conditions and going up some fair size hills, I would estimate that my batteries are then only going to do perhaps 20 to 25 miles. What's that in kilometres? 40 kilometres tops. That said, on a heavy day like that with a heavy load, going up and down hills, I was ready to finish by the time that my batteries had emptied anyhow, so I don't foresee that as being a problem when I'm on tour. To be able to do 50 miles over unlevel ground with a load, I think it's more than enough, to be honest. And I could have gone easier on the batteries as well if I'd have chosen to. So I was just talking about the controller, so there it is, that's the display I'm looking at as I'm riding along. I've got that, as you've seen before, at the bottom end of the boom between my legs, and there we have in the top right is the battery indicator, Still showing 6 bars for today, thank goodness. So top left we have the power level that I'm on. It was just switched off, so that's off. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 up, and then we use the minus button. 2, 3, 4 down. In the middle, that's the speed that we're currently doing. Underneath we have different information that we can display. We use that information button here to change that between trip distance, total distance, time and average speed that we've been doing. So it just cycles through them. Next to that is the on-off button, which also has a light on it, as you can see, switching that on and off. So just above that, obviously, I have the battery on and off button as well, so I can isolate the battery from that button there. And just whilst we're looking at the battery, can't remember whether I mentioned this before, but as well as being in a bottle holder at the bottom here, bottle shaped battery in a bottle holder obviously, I've also put a strap around the top end here to hold the neck of the bottle fairly tight in there, because we don't want that, if I go over a lump it could quite easily jump forward and jump out. And some of you with the eagle eyes will also note at the moment I've done away with the tubes at the front of the trike. There's no chain tubes on here anymore. I got fed up with them. They're so noisy on the camera. So I've only just taken them off in the last day or two. We're going to see how that works. I've still got the back ones on to guide the chain into the roll-off and into the chain tensioner at the back there, but the front ones are off. Put my drone in a tree. Wasn't very clever, was it? I might be smiling in a minute if I can get it down. If I can't, then I'll be pretty angry. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. How am I going to get that down from there? It's about 15 feet up. I'll have to throw things at it, I suppose. Right, I'm smiling. No, I'm smiling a little bit. I got the drone back. But as it landed, see that on the front there? It's smashed that little glass front bit on here. And the gimbal's still working, but I'm not going to try flying it next to all that water over there, so I'll take it somewhere else and try giving it a fly, but I'm guessing that's one of the forward sensors, so yeah. Something else under there that's broken as well. Don't know what that is, we'll see. Anyhow, let's get on. So Bill asked me in the comments, can I feel the motor cutting out? The honest answer to that is yes, just a tiny bit. I don't know how much that is psychological, because more than feel it, I can hear it. I can hear the motor cut in and cut out, but it's tiny. The actual feeling is tiny compared to the noise. Most of the time when I'm triking and filming, I'm going to have the motor turned off, as indeed I have at the moment, because otherwise it's just too loud. I mean, it's not, you'd still be able to hear me, it's not too loud in that sense, but it annoys me to have that noise when I come to do the editing, to have the constant whine of the motor. some of these boats. So, bear with me if the camera just joggles around a little bit, but I'll turn the motor on and you'll be able to hear the noise cutting in and out as I go along. I'll speed up and slow down so you can hear it. But bear with me a moment because I can't hold the camera and take my hands off the handlebars and fiddle around with the e-assist at the same time without the camera jogging a little bit. Really? Right, I'll let you listen to the motor for a minute. So even though that noise is a detractor from filming when I've got the camera on, I don't actually notice it myself whilst I'm out. It's kind of one of those noises that you just get used to, unlike my squeaky pedals at the moment. I have to put some WD-40 on my clips, I think. So, Discover Recumbent Trikes asked, would this motor be suitable for a full fat? As in a full fat trike with the full fat tyres and the full fat wheels. In other words, does it have enough torque for a trike that's probably going to spend a lot of time off-road doing some heavy duty work? I would say yes, absolutely. This has plenty of torque. As I said earlier, I took it out on a longer run up some fairly steep hills, and it was fully loaded. I was also off-road on some hills a couple of weeks ago, and I don't have the full fat wheels on this, but there was still plenty of torque to get me up and down everywhere where I wanted to go. But on that, I would only say that obviously you have to be aware when you're buying a 250 watt motor, what sort of load is your trike carrying, what sort of terrain are you going over. But yeah, this one will do me certainly over all the terrain that we've got in the UK. I have no problems at all. So whilst we wait for this quick shower to go over, I can answer the next question, I suppose. So, the next question that came up on the list was, why did I choose the Tongsheng over the Bafang 250 watt? Well, they're both remarkably similar in size, shape. Obviously I don't know what the fit is like on a Bafang, probably just as easy as the Tongsheng. But the one thing that stood out to me between the two was that the TSDZ2 that I've got is a torque assisted motor. So it's got a torque sensor in the little bar that goes through the bottom bracket, and that tells the motor exactly how much pressure I'm putting on the pedals, and that then gives me an amount of power through the motor equivalent to what I'm requiring. Oh, I'm getting wet here. Ugh. Blowing in when the wind blows, I get a load of water coming through. As far as I'm aware, the Bafang is just a pedal assist motor, so that when you're pedaling it'll give you power, and that's it. So it basically it senses that the pedals are going round, and it then switches the motor on. So the other plus of having a torque assist motor is, of course, when I take pressure off or brake or stop pedaling when I'm coming up to a junction, the power coming out of the motor is automatically reduced or cut off completely. That then means that I don't need brake sensors or anything like that with this motor, which makes the install so much easier. That said, as I say, I don't know too much about the Bafang motor, the fit, or whether you actually have to have brake sensors with the Bafang. I don't know. Perhaps somebody can tell me that one in the comments, or explain it to everybody else in the comments, but it was the torque assist that actually sold the TSDZ to me. I think that shower's nearly gone through already. It's brightening up over the back there, I think you can see. That's good. We'll be off on our way again in a minute. So, happy news on the drone. Whilst I was waiting for that shower to just go away and for it to finally stop raining, I had a quick fly of the drone. So it all appears to be working fine. I flew it towards a hedge and the front sensors were all working on it. So all good. Happy bunny. Lucky, but happy. So the last question for today then is the one that I keep getting asked, and the one obviously that everybody wants to know is how much did it cost? Well, the kit and one of the batteries was £589 including shipping. I think most people would see that as a reasonable price to pay for a 250 watt system. I'm thoroughly happy with it. Whether something with a price tag as low as that on it is going to last thousands and thousands of miles, well, we'll see, won't we? Time will tell on that one. So I think that's all the questions and comments that I can remember for now. If I've missed any, or as I say, if you've got any other questions you'd like answered about this e-assist system that I fitted, ask away in the comments below and I'll do my best to get to them at some point in another video coming up, as well as answering them in the comments down below as well. So having answered all your questions, I'm now turned round and heading back the other way. Wow, it's lumpy. Oh. So before I go today, obviously you know now that I've got a couple of videos coming up in the pipeline. I've got a county ride that I did and one other ride where I went to some of the less iconic parts of London earlier on this week. So those two are coming up, but apart from that, where do we go at the moment with this lockdown? Well, a subscriber and friend of mine, Graham, wrote an email to me this morning and he said how much he was enjoying looking back through some of the older stuff that I put on YouTube. And he particularly enjoyed those daily videos that I did for 9 or 10 days back last year. And he wondered whether I'd have time to do that again at the moment. Yes, I do have time. And I would like to get back into doing some of those daily videos. Just short ones, 10-15 minutes. But what I don't have at the moment are very many topics in my head of which to talk about. I've got a few, and it'll keep us going for a little while, and I'll mention it now before I forget. Even though I say daily videos, if the weather's bad, which it can be at this time of the year, then you might have to miss a day or two. We'll see. So don't hold me to a daily video. Don't beat me up if you don't see me one day. But what I'm asking for at the moment from you guys, my subscribers, what would you like to hear me chatting about? What would you like to see? Is there somewhere around fairly close to my home in North London where you'd like me to ride and go and have a look, tell you more about? Is there a particular part of my gear, equipment that you'd like me to talk about? And I'll try and give you some entertainment over the coming days whilst we're going through this strange period in life. Upcoming things that I already have ideas for in my head are, I've been promising you ages to talk about my footwear. What am I wearing on my feet and why are they still getting cold? Also, I'm going to do a video which Phil asked for a while back about how I make a video. That might take longer than a day to shoot that one and edit, but we'll see. There was a couple of others now, I can't remember them. But anyhow, I've got a few ideas, but if you can help me out and give me a few more, it'll make life easy for me. Right, anyhow, I'm waffling now, so I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully, with another one, weather depending. And I'll see you all then. So for now then, stay safe, stay well, look after your loved ones. See you tomorrow. Ta-da!